Hello, I'd like to welcome you all to our brand new guest for today for our Tuesday 1:30 p.m. session where we have Hannah and Caleb from GW speaking on Walking Paths, their new intergenerational humanities program. In this session, again, is called Walking Paths. So I look forward to this so much. I'm going to read our disclaimer before we get started. The WildTech DC Senior Digital Inclusion Program, its owners and presenters offer technical assistance, virtual health well-being information designed for educational purposes only. You should not rely on the info and any apps or topics made by WildTech, including but not limited to mobile device application and any social media pages maintained by WildTech, its owners or presenters as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or legal advice. Thanks so much for letting me read the disclaimer. If you cannot see us, hear us, let us know in the chat. As always, let's keep our TVs and cell phones in mind. Besides that, you can review and rewind this as much as you like on YouTube. So hello, YouTube. And you can then make sure to take notes and or screenshots during our session today as well. But besides that, Hannah and Caleb, if you could introduce yourselves and your topics and how our sessions together will be. Thank you so much for volunteering your time. And we're going to learn a lot. So thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. And thank you all for having us. Like I was saying earlier, very excited to kind of join in and be a part of the program. Sounds like you all have a wonderful thing going. My name is Hannah. I am one of the third-year medical students at George Washington University. And I will let Caleb introduce himself as well. And then we'll tell you a little bit more about the program and what our plan is for today.
Yes, thank you, Hannah. My name is Caleb. I am a first-year medical student here at George Washington University, and I'm excited for this session. So let's take it away.
Yeah. And before we get started, not to put you on the spot, Caleb, but maybe if you want to share a little bit about like what made you interested in joining the program, or if you have any specific interest in humanities or kind of where your experience is there.
Oh, sure. I've only been here at this school for a couple months, so I'm still trying to figure out and trying to do as much as I can. Just jump into as many clubs as possible, and I thought this was a great program to be a part of. I'm also very interested in geriatric medicine as well. So that's something that I would like to potentially explore in the future. But this is only my first year, so I have a lot of time to look at other things.
Yeah, definitely. And for myself as well, I also am interested in family medicine. So I'm doing primary care throughout the lifespan and perhaps a particular focus on geriatrics as well. And so I've always appreciated any opportunity to be involved kind of with the older adult population. And this was kind of a program that was an idea of mine for a couple of months. And I will kind of share these slides now and let's see, take over in terms of doing that. Let's see. Oops, sorry, it looks like I have to update my security settings. I'm not sure why it's not. Alrighty, so we have our slides up now. Just wanted to use these to kind of walk you all through where the idea for the program came from, and then we'll jump into our session. So today's session, the kind of the theme is walking paths, but this program as a whole, I'm calling it the BIG or BIG Humanities Program. So that's standing for Building Intergenerationality through Humanities, because that's really kind of what our main goal is, as we touched on a little bit before. If I could have you go to the next slide, and the next one after this. So just a little bit of an overview of the program goals. This is a project and a program that I have thought up through the American Academy of Family Physicians. They have a specific program for emerging leaders. They're often students or residents who are still in their training. And for each of us, we get to kind of choose a project that will be impactful for a certain community and that is important to us, and then get to pursue that. And so that's where this idea originally came from. And as I mentioned, I've had an interest in you know, participating with a community of our seniors, our older adults in DC. And I also have an interest in humanities. I've grown up with a love of reading and writing and trying to keep those things alive as I continue to learn about the sciences and kind of the more technical things. I attended the University of Mary Washington in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is kind of a smaller liberal arts school, and was lucky to find a lot of support there to be able to pursue kind of both of those passions of science and humanities. So I majored in biochemistry and completed all of my like pre-medical requirements, but I also majored in English literature. Got to do a lot of really impactful things through that, and learned a lot about the study of literature. So this project is kind of combining both of those loves, and I hope that it will allow all of us who are here and those of you who are interested to be able to connect through humanities in these monthly sessions, with the ultimate goal of just bringing us together and hoping to find some ways to reduce like the loneliness and the social isolation that is very easy for us to fall into. Statistically, DC is the loneliest city, just based on like people who live by themselves and looking at sizes of community and those things. And so I think it's super important, even for us in this like digital way, to be able to connect together. And I know you all continue to get these really great kind of technology sessions as well. And I hope that we'll be able to use some of those things in this program and maybe introduce you to some new tools and how things can work there as well. So I'll be go ahead and go to the next slide.
Thank you. When you move back a little, it's a little easier to hear you.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. And so what I would like us to do initially is to just kind of have an open share. And like I talked about, if you can click to the next slide, people can feel free to use the chat, or you can unmute. Would love to hear your voices. As you, I think Alex had said, typically you all like raise your hand and share, but I also am fine with people just kind of jumping in and sharing what your thoughts are on reading or poetry. I know we had a poem that was shared with us earlier, or thoughts on art and film. Just kind of what brought you, what interested you in this program. And then the second question being with their little mirror here, the prompt, what how do you take the opportunities in your life to reflect, and what does reflection look like for you? I see Anne has a hand up. This is the first one I saw.
Yeah, again, you can unmute and share. So
Yeah.
any thoughts on reading, art, film? We've talked about each of these ourselves, I love. How do you take opportunities to reflect?
Well, I like reading uh novels or mysteries or
Mhm.
and then I read a lot of some religious Catholic religious readings and magazines and things, and I love art.
Mhm.
I'm not into the new modern art. I like stuff that I can actually tell what it is and not have to have a heart attack trying to figure out if it's the boogeyman trying to reach through the.
Mhm.
Um, and I haven't looked at a lot of movies lately, um, but I do like different films and different types of films. And
Great.
I take the opportunity to reflect every evening before going to um, bed. I like reflecting a lot. I reflect with the Lord and I reflect with how maybe I could have changed something that I did or said um, in the moment of discontentment or anger. Sometimes people, sometimes people, I have a problem with scammers, and for some reason, my phone has been ringing 24/7 from dawn to dawn with these people and you're not sure what's legal and what's not with Medicare insurance. And I know everybody's trying to get you signed up and stuff, but so I'm asking God to give me a lot of patience,
And so you reflect on those things.
I
Great.
reflect on those types of things.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you for listening.
How
Yeah,
about you,
that's great.
Diane, and anyone else? We got more than 30 folks on. Again, please let us know. Diane, and then someone else, please.
Hello, I'm a history buff,
Okay.
and I'm 79, and I've been reading constantly since 1968. I have read 5 years straight until I got sick. When I say 5 years straight, I read every day for 5 years.
Oh, that's great.
Because I was going for the record, the Genesis Book of World Records.
Ah.
So like I said, I'm a history buff. I like the history of the United States more so than anything. I like detective novels. I don't read Stephen King or gory stuff, but it's important to read something every day. And in reading, it made my vocabulary better. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Diane. We got Doris next. Thank you. Great. Any reading, art, film, reflections?
Well, my oldest daughter, that's turned me on to the stage plays on YouTube. So I've been looking at a lot of gospel plays on there, and they're very good. And I do like to read.
Wonderful.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Or Hannah, any reflection? Okay, we got Miss
Oh,
Jeanette,
sorry.
and then I think we'll hear from Hannah. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, thank you for coming. I love to read. I love to read, and I love history also. I read the Bible every day, and I reflect on what I read there because it has a message on how we should treat people, and that's important because sort of like what Anne said, I get peeved when I'm calling a company and I get that virtual person. And I'm like upset with them, but they can't even hear me because they're not responding. So I have to calm myself down too. I want to speak to a human. So that really gets to me. I like art. I had the opportunity to go to a art museum. I think I was in, where was I? England? No, not England. I can't remember. In Spain somewhere. It's different art, and like she said, I like art that I can see. I like abstract though, if it's colors and all, but crazy faces in these stuff where you see, no, I'm not into that. And I take time to reflect first thing in the morning after praying. I want to know what I need to do for the rest of the day, how I'm going to perform, how am I going to be better. And then at night, it's like, how did I do for that day? So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job,
Okay.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing. It sounds like we have some consensus on some art types that we like, or maybe some newer types of art that are like less familiar to us. And I love to hear people loving to read all different kinds of things, like history, mysteries, religious texts. It sounds great. I am really encouraged, like you all said, that reading is an excellent thing, for us to be able to do um, to increase vocabulary, make sure, keeps our brains really active as well. And so, I hope that we can do a little bit of reading together and do some discussion on those sorts of things moving forward too. I think I kind of already shared a little bit my thoughts on reading and kind of how I came to be really interested in literature. I also have learned a bit more about kind of film in recent days because I was part of a film class that we have at George Washington for some of the students who are interested in the medical humanities. So it's been nice to learn more about that and art as well. We got to take several different trips to the portrait gallery. Not sure if any of you all have been, but lots of lovely art to be able to study there. And I'm hoping that we can use a few of those techniques that I learned during that art class to look at a piece of art next. So that'll be 2 slides from now. This is called Lost in the City. It's by Santiago Villegas, and it's not like an abstract art, but definitely not like a kind of classic piece. So would love to hear what people think about it. But I'll have you go ahead and click to the next one. So before I give you all any kind of context around what this came from or what it might be trying to tell us, this is what I learned from that art class, is just kind of standing there and taking in the art to start with, looking at the size of different types of things or whatever it is that jumps out to you, or what sorts of things you think what questions you can answer by looking at it, but also what questions does it bring up for you? Sometimes there can be a lot of questions and not very many answers, but would love to hear if anyone has any like initial thoughts when you look at this of what stands out, what questions do you have about it, what comments does it bring up?
Great. I think a minute, take a look. This is in our daily email. So if you saw that, you kind of had a hint of what we were talking about today. Any thoughts? Any thoughts? You can't
Yes, I think I
raise your
see
hand.
someone.
If you
Couple.
have your hands raised, let's see how many hands we can get. All right. Any more hands? We could, we didn't have to do the hands, but that's okay as well. Any other hands? All right. So any quick thoughts? What stands out to you? What questions do you have looking at this picture? So we have Geraldine first and then Miss Brenda.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for calling on me. Well, the pizza is bigger than the mouse. And it reminds me of life when sometimes issues are larger than life and they're so big it's overwhelming. That's the first thought I get from looking at this picture.
Yeah, that's great.
How about you, Brenda?
Well, I remember seeing this on the news a while back. And
Okay.
this was a rat in New York City that had that slice of pizza. And to me, it's to like, they're hungry and they're going after whatever they can find. And it was funny just seeing a rat dragging that slice of pizza, eating it. So, but I remember seeing this on the news.
Yes.
Thank you. How about you, Anne? Any thoughts? Quick
Well,
thoughts.
I like Brenda. I saw this on the news, but and I had several thoughts. The first one was and then, and then I kind of analyzed it, and I kind of saw that uh, there must have been a very hungry rat, and he was trying to drag a very large piece of pizza. And my thought was that was this. And then I thought maybe that they had put poison on the pizza, and when he ate it, he might have died. But I have a very weird sense of analyzing things sometimes, so um, I get analytical. But
Thank you.
It was just kind of odd to see this little bitty, well, not a little bitty rat, but it wasn't a very big rat, dragging this big piece of pizza. And looks like he's trying to take it someplace where he can, have it all to himself. But that was,
Yes.
I
I
was, yeah,
accidentally clicked
yeah.
this, Hannah, but
That's okay. Yeah, this is the as someone already very astutely mentioned, this is the original video that came from, that a lot of people, it sounds like, saw in the news. So yes, you all hit it correctly. That was the kind of the inspiration for that picture. Yeah. Any other
oh,
thoughts?
thank you again all for sharing. We got Dolores next, and then Miss Jeanette, and then we'll hear from Caleb.
Well, this is my first time seeing this picture, and the first thing I came out was ugh, but then I thought about it. It said to me, I'm looking at it, say love coming all fashion, and he found his favorite food, pizza. So he done fell in love with the pizza. So that was my comment.
Yeah, I can see that.
Love it. We got Miss Jeanette again. Thank you.
I was thinking, because I didn't know, I've never seen this picture, and so I didn't know whether he traveled with it or not, but it just, as she said, it's hard for me to even look at a rat, really. So, but when I looked at it, it reminds me of someone, if you put it into what a person, sometimes no matter where you are, you have to satisfy your needs. And to me, it seems like it's comfort for him, his comfort food. We are comforted by something that we like, or there's a need for us to have something, and that's what I'm thinking of, the way he's holding on to it. I don't know, that's just me.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. Caleb, any thoughts on what folks have shared, or any of your thoughts on this photo?
Yeah, I was thinking about how it's kind of similar to what Dolores said, was just how happy the rat's expression is in this picture. I don't think I've I don't think I've felt that level of happiness in just from a pizza before. But it kind of reminds me of sometimes when I'm super busy and I don't have a lot of time to reflect on maybe some like things that have like my daily activities. If I don't have enough time to reflect, think like, oh, I wonder how cool it would be if I could just be like a little animal without any cares in the world, and I just get to really enjoy stuff like this rat enjoying pizza. So that's something that I thought about, just like, man, he's really happy to see this pizza.
I agree with that. This picture makes me think of one man's trash is another person's treasure. This pizza slice could have been on the ground somewhere, and we would have thought of it as trash, but to the rat, it's a treasure. It's food. It's nourishment. So just makes me grateful for the things that we do have that make us happy.
Yes, exactly. I appreciate all of those reflections on that. I think what stood out to me was a lot of things that people already mentioned as well. The clear love and affection for this piece of pizza that the rat has, and also, as was mentioned pretty early on, the piece of pizza is bigger than the rat itself, and I think we also get a lot of perspective seeing the shoes of this person in the background too, that even though the rat is really big in the picture and is taking up most of it, we can see that it's trying to give us scale that, in the grand scheme of things, this is a very tiny thing that's happening, but it's something that's central to what the rat is experiencing and what's going on at the time. And then, yeah, so we can go ahead and Actually, if you can put the picture back up, I'll give you guys a little bit more background about it. Oh, sorry. It looks like Denise, did you have something to add?
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, Denise.
Okay, hi. What I get out of that picture is that the same about us. When we get something that we enjoy and we like and we want to eat, you know, it's like, hey, I got it, and now I'm going to enjoy it. That's what the rat, he said, I got this piece of pizza and I'm going to enjoy this. And he also wanted God's, animal, which is called a rat, and he have to eat as well, like we do. We have our own names, and when we ready to eat, we're going to eat too, and then we're going to enjoy what we eat when we eat it. So the rat is enjoying that piece of pizza because he say, "Hey, this is what I want, and I'm going to eat and enjoy it." That's what I got out the picture.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Sharing.
And then, yes. Then I think I
Bridget,
see Johnny.
Bridget,
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you.
Okay, I got a different perspective. I got all of that stuff that you guys said, but I also looked at the piece of pizza. Look at the pizza. The pizza looks like it's so happy that the rat found him. You see the pizza got a smile on his face?
Mhm.
The pizza has a
Yeah.
smile on his face, so he's grateful that he's not trash. He's grateful that somebody picked him up off the ground and is now going to use him to the highest level of their enjoyment and their peace of mind. So
Oh,
that's what I got out of it.
Nice. So maybe we see some level of forming a community or a connection here too.
Yeah,
Okay.
because pizza
Great.
has a smile on its face as well
Yeah.
as the rat.
Yeah, I can see where I could say that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. You all kind of already filled in a lot of the background, but this is a multimedia artist, and his name is Santiago Villegas, and he moved to New York City from Colombia. And he was interviewed by the writer of this article for the magazine that I found this in. Her name is Emma Riva. And when he was talking in this conversation with her, he says that he found that he was identifying with the rat, and that the rat conveys a sense of wonder and a timidity at the stairways and the subway grates of the world around them. And he says, as someone in this group pointed out too, that the rat has a simple life, doesn't have a past, doesn't have a future. The rat just seems like it's enjoying the moment, enjoying the simple things. And he says, the rat represents how I feel about the city, but it's also a little bit of escapism. And so I think we kind of saw a lot of those things and the ideas that this artist is saying that he has, even just by looking at the artwork that he created without even hearing any words from him at all. Um, and I want us to kind of transition now into um, reading a little excerpt from a short story. If you can click to the next slide. Yes. Sorry. So those are just a few of the quotes. Forgot that that was there that I just read about how the artist views the rat and the painting that he has created. And then we can move on from there. And yes, so in terms of the short stories, the first one, you'll click to the next, is inspired, as you might have guessed, by what we just looked at. And it's titled, I Am Pizza Rat. It's by Han Ong, and it was published in the New Yorker in October of 2023, so just over 2 years ago. And to give you a little bit of background about the story, it's a short story that this author is writing as he's detailing his experience as a son, accompanying his father to these classes that are called Falling Naturally classes. They're like fall prevention classes for these older adults. His father has recently suffered a stroke and is doing some rehabilitation, including these fall classes. And he talks about how the goal of the classes is to, as you see there, quote, how to fall with as little injury as possible. And it's also about how we get back up without hurting yourself, which I think applies to that situation of falling, but also applies more broadly to a lot of aspects of our life, how we get back up without hurting ourselves. And He talks about how the instructors will tell them to try to land on their side and to anticipate the landing, that there should be discomfort, but hopefully no pain. And he also, I found this to be pretty impactful, talks about how there's an obstacle course that is kind of set up for these individuals as they're learning to navigate through these different things in this kind of fabricated scenario that is brought up. And the way that he describes it is that the adults who are doing this, they make peace with the lack of a straight path. And so that's kind of where some of the idea of walking paths and the theme for this session comes from. Those are observations that he makes about going to these fall prevention classes with his father. But the part that connects to the pizza rat itself, I think, is also intimately connected into some of these quotes that I have put up here about, how we fall down and get back up, how we move on, and try to hopefully have maybe some discomfort, but hopefully no pain, and how we make peace with the obstacles that are in our way. And I want to read a little portion that specifically touches on the pizza rat itself and what the author and what his father take away from seeing the video, which we just saw. And we also just looked at this artwork that was inspired by it. And so this passage says, "One night, my father looks up from my phone to ask, 'What is this pizza rat?' I am aware of the clarity of his voice before the meaning of his words swims to the surface. 'What are you talking about?' He holds out the phone. It appears that he's gone into one of my folders, most likely by accident. To do so intentionally would require some skillful maneuvering. And what could he hope to catch me out in? There is no concealing my failure in life. My email is open, and he is free to check out the vast stretches of desert where no manuscript submissions have been accepted, no teaching job queries answered. Pizza Rat exists on my phone amid the detritus of a more hopeful life. An internet image clipped and labeled and then dropped into a folder marked possibilities, alongside various other pictures intended to, maybe, spark some writing, but eventually forgotten about.' And then he goes on a little while later to say, 'I explained Pizza Rat to my father. The daredevilry and desperation of a New York City citizen dragging a dropped slice nearly 3 times his own size down uncooperative subway stairs. Even after I've played the famous YouTube video a third time, my father's face tells me he is in bafflement. He doesn't even get away with the pizza, my father says. He leaves it on the step. Maybe he's going for help, I say. What I don't say is that when Pizza Rat exits the frame, he walks right into my imagination. He's been living inside my phone as an avatar for a potential short story about hoarding for the bad times ahead.' And so that was the passage that I wanted us to focus on from this Pizza Rat story. Now that we've seen the original Pizza Rat, we've seen the artistic adaptation, and now we see how this continued to inspire this writer in his conversation that he had with his father. We can click to the next slide. There is one other work that I want to bring our attention to shortly because I think that they connect well together. And then there are a couple of questions that we can think about and how these things interact. So this is an essay collection. It's called No Straight Road Takes You There. And it is by Rebecca Solnit. She is a climate change activist, and she, sorry, I'm trying to grab the right thing here. Yeah, so she writes about, this is the introduction of her book, is the part that I would like us to turn our attention to. And it's an essay collection. She's a climate and human rights activist. And in her introduction, she brings up several points about our discomfort with uncertainty, such that we believe that things are inevitable or that things are fixed, that they have to happen a certain way. Because sometimes it's easier to think that, oh, it was just inevitable. than to believe that anything could happen. And she makes several statements about memory and power, and how we find power in memory to change our future if you're willing to exist it. And so I want to read just a little portion of this, and then I have some questions I would love to hear your input on. So this section goes, but discomfort with uncertainty manifests itself as fatalism, pessimism, doomerism, despair, or sometimes as optimism. When it pretends that we know for certain what will happen, it reduces the vastness of the unknown into the known, the false certainty that pretends to know as a means of ignoring the fact that we don't. The likely happens often, but the unlikely happens often enough that it cannot be disregarded. The things that seem obvious, predictable, inevitable, in hindsight, were often regarded beforehand as impossible or unlikely. And an accurate memory of that equips us to aspire again to what we're told cannot happen. The misremembering of the past, or not remembering the past at all, ill equips us to face the future. And I think this part is important too. It says memory is a power, especially memory that can perceive the larger patterns, the longer shifts, just as forgetting and amnesia are vulnerabilities. Intergenerational conversations, just like what we're having today and in the future, knowledge about history, and the habit of seeking context all contribute to that power, and that power that is memory. And so a couple of those quotes and themes are outlined on this slide, which hopefully makes it a little bit easier for you to follow as well. But in the remaining time that we have a couple of different questions on the next few slides that help us to kind of intertwine thinking about the pizza rat story that I read a part of, and also that part of the introduction of these essays that I read. And I would love to hear you all's thoughts on those things. Caleb, our lovely volunteer, if you would like to maybe start us off by reading the first question. I believe the first page has 2 different questions on it. They seem a little lengthy, but I promise the actual questions themselves and kind of the things to ponder are in bold. The rest of it is just kind of maybe some supporting information that we can think about to help synthesize the things that we just read. But if we maybe can take a few minutes to think about and hear some responses from these first couple of questions, and then we have a few more after that if time allows, but I would love to just hear where we're at in the moment. So Caleb, if you want to kind of walk us through these first, the first question maybe for now, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Sure, I'll read the first question. So, Ong, the author of I Am Pizza Rat, notes of the older adults in the fall prevention classes. They make peace with the lack of a straight path. How do we do this? Is there utility in doing this? Similarly, Solnit's introduction says, "Walker, there is no path. The path is made by walking." Do you think this is true? How does it make you feel to imagine making the path as you go? So what does everyone think about this?
We'll give folks a minute. There's some great questions. We have a fall prevention specialist that comes on, so I want to hear a lot of thoughts. Literally, but in the context of our session today too. So especially if we haven't heard from you today, we'd love for you to share. So I'm encouraging those voices first, okay? If you have not shared yet, please share. Making peace with the lack of a straight path. How do we do this? Is there utility in doing this? Do you think that the path is made by walking? How does it make you feel to imagine making the path as you go? If you have not shared yet, we'd love to hear from you first. If you have not shared yet, you can unmute yourself and share.
Jeanette, what do you think?
The first one had when it says they make peace with the lack of a straight path, it reminds us that sometimes we can't change things. And so if you have to move along the way the path leads you, sometimes the way your life leads you, it's not always going to be the way you want. But it's utility in doing this. If it's not detrimental, then it's benefit, because then you accept it and you can work along with it. And then you don't get down or depressed because it isn't the way you want. And as far as making the path as you're walking, it reminds me that sometimes you have to make your own ways, your own choice. And it may take a lot, it may take sacrifices. Just like we sacrifice when we don't get what we want sometimes, that path. But sometimes we have to make sacrifice to reach a goal. So when you do that, when you imagine making the path as you go, that's really a positive thing, because you're saying, I can do this, I can make this, I can go that way, and I'm going to be successful. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. Let me see, am I on mute?
Sharon, yeah, you're on, Geraldine. We can hear you.
I was thinking that sometimes we make the path as we go, and that's okay. We just keep walking, and we respond to whatever comes our way. But sometimes we prepare for the class, for the path. Like, depending on what the path is, we take classes, we prepare ourselves, we take seminars, and we learn about the path beforehand, so we know somewhat what to expect. So my response is that sometimes we take the path as it goes and we respond to whatever comes our way, and other times we prepare and we are ready for what comes our way. That's my thought.
Those are great points. I love the I think Geraldine, what you said about preparing for the path, even if there isn't one particularly outlined, that's a very great point. And also, I think earlier as well, it was a great point made there. There was a great point made about how we shouldn't let ourselves be too depressed or too thrown off if there isn't a path. I can definitely relate to that point, because sometimes something doesn't go according to my schedule or to my plan, and that sometimes ruins my day or the next hour. So I definitely agree with that. Anne, did you have any points that you wanted to make?
Again, anyone that would like to share? I know we have a couple more questions. Life is all about adapting and change. So, don't be stuck in one path. Learn how to pivot, make the best of any situation, whether it's a challenge, not a problem, but a challenge. You can, turn lemons into lemonade. Okay.
Perhaps we can move on to the second question then, if there aren't any further thoughts about the first one at this time.
Would you like me to read the second question, Hannah?
Sure, if you'd like to. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Ong suggests maybe the rat left the pizza to call for help, someone or something to give him more pizza moving power than he currently had. How do we find power? Likewise, Solnit's introduction says, memory is a power. Intergenerational conversations, knowledge of history, and the habits of seeking context all contribute to that power. As a group across generations, How can we use memory to share knowledge and thus power with one another? How have you seen this work in the past?
Again, great questions. Anyone would like to respond to either or both of those questions for number 2?
I think we get power from listening to older people, getting knowledge from them, the firsthand knowledge from them, based on their experiences. I think that's what the second part, as a group across generations, how can we use memory to share knowledge? And I think we should use the memory of old intergenerational people. If that's intergenerational wealth, power is. That's what I think.
I agree with that, but I also think that we can gain much from young ones. And sometimes that can bring power back to us when we think of what we were able to do at that time. And I like that when suggested that the rat left the pizza to call for help, where his father said he lost it, so it didn't do him any good, because that's a positive thought. And when we think positively, that gives us power instead of that negative thinking. Negative thinking takes us down. So we can get that power. We have positive thoughts. We reach out to others. We recognizing that we don't have it all to ourselves. We need help sometimes. That can help us have power, the help of others.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? And especially if we have not heard from you, we'd love to hear from you, folks. Love those points. Thank you so much.
We don't have any other thoughts about those at this time. Just a couple more things for us to think about, with the last one being pretty quick as well. But the first one, number 3, so we see that the pizza rat photo in the short story by Ong, he says that he put that photo in a folder that he titled Possibilities. But even when he was describing that, he seemed to feel somewhat down or dejected that he hadn't realized or acted on his dreams and his goals and those things that he thought were possibilities. Um, and then in the introduction to Solnit's essays, she talks about how we often look at things that are short-sighted and we think that things are inevitable, that things have to happen, because that's just the way that it is. And she challenges us to think more in the long-sighted, as you all were already mentioning, I think, with kind of looking at the path that's ahead, and maybe even continuing to walk as we're creating the path. And she also challenges us to think about things being evitable. So not being inevitable, that something like had to happen, but things being evitable so that things can still change and path can still move, and adapt as we go. And so she mentions that discomfort with temporal uncertainty manifests itself as a false certainty about the future, which I think a lot of you were pointing to when talking about the path and how much we know of the path versus how much we don't. So I just was asking and thinking, how can we think and plan and do, based on things that are long-sighted and thinking about things that are evitable? I think some people already touched on this a little bit, but if anyone has any additional thoughts about how we look forward at things that are long-sighted.
Yeah, any new voices? We'd love to hear from you. How can we think, plan, and do in the long-sighted, so in the future and evitable, that are going to happen? Any thoughts? Come on now. How do we plan for the times ahead? Again, any voices first we haven't heard from, you can unmute yourself and share. So if you haven't heard from you, we love to hear from you today. How do you plan for the long-sighted and inevitable? Do we, again, someone can talk about maybe goals? That's what comes to my mind when I think of this question. So goals. Again, you can unmute yourself and share, especially if you have not shared yet today. So again, this is a conversation. You can hit that unmute button and share.
Can I share or should I be quiet?
You're good. You can share.
Share.
Same thing.
Thank you.
I was thinking the same thing, Alex, about goals. Goal setting is important when you want to go forward. And long range goals are good because can be good because I kind of think that you can take your time to get to that goal. You can say, well, I have this amount of time. It doesn't have to be immediate because you might not be ready to do it. You want to, but you need more time to do that. And so goals are very important when for the future. Some things are short range and some things you have to do now or should, but goals are good for a start to making the plan to go ahead to whatever you want to do. That's just what I'm thinking.
Thank you so much. Ms. Dolores, you are unmuted. Did you want to share something about the long-sighted and inevitable?
Excuse me. Well, I would say write down a list and do one thing at a time, which is close. The first or second or third like that, do one thing at a time.
Definitely.
Love it. Anyone else? You can unmute yourself and share.
Well, I found that uh, at the age I've gotten to be, I have to plan things differently than when I was younger, and I don't make as many plans and don't plan to do as much. And I always investigate how I'm going to navigate doing a project that is not as easy to do when I was able to stand and move faster.
Yep. Adapt and change.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Anne, for sharing.
To just have to plan it out and figure out the best way to do it without causing a fall or injury, or just trying to work things out a different way than you're usually used to doing them.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely.
Really.
Adapting is very important.
Yeah, and sometimes that's hard for us that are getting to our golden age, as the kids
I think
call
that's
it.
hard for anyone too.
Yeah,
That's why we're talking about it today. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I loved your answers to this question. They were all so great.
If there are any other thoughts, definitely feel free to share. If not, I will briefly turn our attention to the last question. Again, I think that this is something that a lot of people have already touched on. So if there are any additional thoughts, please feel free to share. But we also see that On says that the pizza rat serves as an inspiration to him to write about hoarding for the bad times ahead. And so what are the things that we do that we can help anticipate, plan, prepare for what might potentially be bad times ahead? And what can we learn from any other takeaways of the story of the rat, and how that intersects with our own discussion?
Well, this may not be an anticipation, but I think sometimes when we reach a certain age and certain things go on, we don't like asking for help. But I think that if we learn how to adapt and know that our limitations, sometimes that you have to ask for help. And it's not a weakness, it's a strong point that you have the ability to adapt to something new and to ask for help, that it's not shameful to ask for help. Help is available for you, and it's to assist you, to keep you from falling, or keep you from making rash decisions, or jumping up to do something that you can't jump up and do anymore, and you forget that sometimes. And to know that people are willing to help one another.
Definitely. That is
Thank
very important.
you.
I think the rat story, before I even saw that or learned that he lost the pizza, poor thing. Maybe he came back. I don't know. But the fact is, he tried. He made the effort. And sometimes we look at things, I can't do that. I remember in having a class, I think they were about 5-year-olds, and immediately when I gave them the work, they're like, it was a class about 30 kids, I don't remember. I can't do it. And so I said, let's try. Let's sit down and try. So I sat with the two students individually, and they were able to do that because they tried. And so that rat, even though it was bigger than him, he's trying. So we have to try. Sometimes we have to do things. We have to get out of our comfort zone to try to do things, and then we can move ahead, or we can be. Then it instills a sense of pride in us that we can. And sometimes we may fail, but at least we tried, because that's important too. Because we're all gonna fail at something, but we keep on trying.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
Great observations from everyone.
Can I interject on my
Yes, please.
what
Can
I think?
unmute yourself and share.
Uh-huh. I'm looking at the passage where it says, similarly, how we anticipate the bad times ahead. How can we anticipate the bad times ahead? A lot of times you have to plan for the bad times, just in case. I'm a just in case rat. So I'm one of these rats that I will hoard just in case. I will hoard food, or I'll hoard blankets, or I'll hoard this, or I'll hoard that, just in case. And normally speaking, depending upon what you're saving up for the bad times ahead, that you're really glad that you did that. You never expect it to happen, but just in case. I'm a just in case kind of rat. I'm a just in case kind of person. So I might not need it today, but I know I'm going to need it someday. I don't just grab and hoard everything. No, I don't do that. I hoard only the necessities that I know that may be hard to get down the line, like money. I'll put money aside just because. I don't need the money. I'd rather spend it. But sometimes you have to save the money just in case something bad happens in your future. So don't spend all the money just because you can. Put some aside, regardless of what it is, how much you have. I might make $1 today, but I'll save 50 cents of that dollar for tomorrow, for the times
Yeah.
when I don't have that dollar coming in. I'll save it and put it aside. And that way, when I need it, I have it. And I won't have to go and beg somebody for help. I will help. I will ask for help when I need it. But I'm one of these, I'm a more independent type of animal, whereas I'm going to do it but I'm gonna do it at my own pace, and I don't want to have to struggle with having to do it. I want to be able to do it when I need to do it. And that way I won't be stressed out wondering what happens if I'm a what if rat. I'm a what if person. So if you
yes.
yeah, I am. I'm definitely a what if rat. What
I,
if
I
what if the
appreciate that, Bridget.
what if the electric goes out, or what if the water goes out? How can I pay for that? I've saved up just in case. I'm the just in case person.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for that as well.
Prepare
Yeah.
for the, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That's what I.
Prepare for the worst. That's exactly what I do, Alex. That is my motto.
Thank you so much, Bridget. Miss Dolores, did you have something to share?
That reminds me, doing the culprit back there, I had, this was like I'm saying back there in the day, and I was buying toilet paper, put it aside. So when that came up, I had a problem of getting toilet paper. So I looked in my closet and I found about 40 or 50 rolls. I said, thank God that I put it there. I forgot I did. Came in very handy.
You
Yes,
prepared. So
definitely.
thank you for sharing that.
And as you all were talking too, one thing that I thought of is how, sometimes we think about saving up these like physical things for the times ahead, but how we also, in like conversations like we're having today, maybe we learn things or we talk about certain memories and we share that power in that way. And we can save that up and use it for the times ahead too. So maybe we don't see a way that it might be applicable for something today, but then a week from now or a month from now or whenever it is, if we've stored that up and we've had those experiences in that time that we've heard from others, that can help us along our way as well.
Thank you again, Hannah and Kayla, for these questions and for the material.
Yes, thank you all. I want to be respectful of your time as well. But this is kind of our wrap up. There's some of those references there in case you all are interested in them. We did have a little just way for you all to provide like some feedback. If that's something, would that be fine if I just drop put a link in the chat for people to a little feedback survey? It's very simple. Anything that you might have, you can throw that in there.
Wonderful. Next time I can make this a poll in Zoom. That way we could do here and here, but please put this link in the chat.
Yes, so that is there. You all can feel free to, click it now and save it and fill it out whenever works for you. Would love to hear any feedback from that. And thank you all for your participation today. I think we had a great first session. I really enjoyed being able to get to know you all a little bit and hear some of your thoughts and perspectives on these things, which I think were very spot on and very insightful for a lot of things. And so I look forward, as I'm sure Caleb does too, and our other volunteers who you all will be hopefully introduced to and meeting in future sessions. Look forward to seeing where this goes. Glad to hear some of your interests in art and reading and those sorts of things at the beginning. Maybe we can find some particular things that are tied to those interests and incorporate them in the future as well. Yes. Any questions or anything else? I believe there might be another slide just for like.
Oh yeah. Well,
just for the credits for the slides and whatnot. But any questions you all have, you can also direct them through Alex or directly to me is fine as long as that's okay with you all as well.
But any overarching thoughts for Hannah before any final words? Any overarching thoughts for today? You can unmute yourself and share your thank yous, your goodbyes.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank
you all for
Thank you
coming.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah,
And thank you.
and your co-host as well.
And your co-host.
Yes, thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you,
Thanks for your
Caleb.
co-host and
Thank
you. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing.
Perfect.
All right, Hannah and Caleb, any final thoughts on our seniors today, how today's session inspires your next session? But I look forward to chatting on how we can structure this. And you have a wonderful start in introduction to your program.
Yes, thank you all for having us, and yeah, definitely look forward to continuing to change and adapt as we go forward. But I think we had a great start today, so thank you all for participating, like we said.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Caleb. See you next month. But we hope you have
Yes,
and enjoy your Veterans Day next week and your Thanksgiving as well. So we'll see
yes,
you
you all as well.
in the beginning of December.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
Thank
session
you.
you.
today.
Jana.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.